So I'm going to just talk about more foods that are helpful for metabolism. And essentially foods that help speed up metabolism have what's called a high thermic effect. And that means that it actually needs more energy to digest. It seems counterintuitive, but that's actually what the types of foods that will help speed up our metabolism. There's a bunch of key foods that include lean proteins. So chicken, fish, eggs, those are going to speed up our metabolism more quickly than something that is fatty or protein. Legumes, spicy peppers, because there's some heat to it, coffee, anything with caffeine in it, green tea, again, because of the caffeine, ginger, there's some of that spice to it, nuts, seeds, and leafy greens. These are all really great foods that have that high thermic effect. They require more energy, and that's what's going to help speed up our metabolism. Things that require less energy will slow down our metabolism. And also drinking enough water will also really help speed up our metabolism. We'll notice that sometimes if we're feeling like we can't go to the bathroom properly, if we're drinking more water, that will help our digestive system get more on track and just feel a little bit better. And drinking enough water throughout the day will also just help our metabolism speed up. Because I wanted to use ginger, I'm also using some spinach. I'm going to be making a soba noodle stir fry, and ginger goes very well with this flavor profile. So what I have here, my soba noodles are cooked. Those soba noodles are just like a buckwheat noodle. They're a little clumped together. So normally if you're just going to keep them plain, put some oil, but because they're going to go into a sauce, they really need. So I'm going to turn on my stove and I'm going to put a little bit of avocado oil. That's what I'm going to use as my natural oil, right? We were speaking about making some better changes with our oil. So I always go for avocado oil as my natural oil. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our tofu. So I'm going to let my pan heat up a little longer. We're using some tofu. If you want to keep it like a little bit more solidified so it doesn't break, you can put some cornstarch around it and that will help keep it formed a little bit better. So I have my tofu in there. And you hear it sizzling really nicely. You're going to let that kind of sit a few minutes, get nice and brown for about 4 minutes. The next thing, when you're done, you're going to move the tofu aside, but still keep it in the pan. And then you're going to grate in a little bit of ginger. So I'm going to take my ginger and just grate that in. Put as much or as little as you want. It's going to already smell so nice. And then 1 clove of garlic. You can do more than 1 clove, but 1 clove is definitely enough for this. Depends how much garlic you like. I like the taste of garlic, and I think it's just a lot for food, but I don't need so much garlic. Then we're gonna let this mix for 30 seconds. So we don't want the garlic or the tofu to burn. So just let it sit for 30 seconds, and then we're gonna go in with our mushrooms and our spinach. Here are my mushrooms. Gonna let those cook in nicely. And I used a cremini mushroom, but you can use really whatever mushrooms you want. This is what I had. The smell of the ginger is like so good right now. So we're gonna let those mushrooms cook. Yeah, I would let it cook for a few more minutes, but in the interest of time, I'm gonna just put in our spinach, and then we're gonna go on with some spinach. And just remember, spinach shrinks down into so much, so you can use a ton. It's a really good leafy green. Again, we spoke how leafy greens are good to help speed up our metabolism. It's a good food for that. So that's gonna wilt down really nicely. And then while that's cooking, I'm going to show you how to make my sauce, which will then go together with the noodles. You can really make the sauce in a variety of ways. I've done this before where I add miso, but I'm not going to add the miso today. So I'm going to have my measuring cup. I'm just using it as a vessel. So I'm going to do about a teaspoon and a half of sesame oil. Then we're going to do some soy sauce. And again, it really doesn't matter how much you're doing. You can always taste it if something needs more. I'm going to do about a tablespoon, maybe 2 of soy sauce. And then I'm going to do some rice vinegar, maybe a teaspoon of rice vinegar. All these flavors go really nicely together. I'm going to do a tablespoon, maybe a little bit less of honey. You can also use maple syrup. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use some sambal ola, which is like a chili paste. You can use chili crisp, or you can leave this out. It's definitely spicy, but it gives it a really nice kick that I love. And then we're going to mix that together. Mix it all together. I'm going to bring you back to my stove 1 minute.
That's such a good combination of ingredients, Ariel.
Yeah, it's super easy and it all makes sense, but it is actually just so delicious. So this is all cooking really nicely. It's not as wilty or as cooked as I normally like it. The sauce will help too. So now I'm going to stick in my soba noodles. and they cook for about 4 or 5 minutes. They're good. They're buckwheat. They're obviously, if you're gluten-free, you should not eat them, but otherwise they're great. And they're definitely pretty clumped together, but with all the oils and the sauce, they'll separate nicely. So now I'm going to mix this again. And I love putting sambal oelek in, by the way, because it just gives such a good kick to this. And I put in my sauce. You don't want to over sauce it because there's still oil in there. And I prefer things a little bit less saucy. And everything's going to shrink nicely. The mushrooms and the spinach will all shrivel into nothing. So you don't really need so much sauce. And you're going to just kind of let that gloss over, let all the flavors come together. I like to keep it in for a minute or two. And then this is the final product. I put a little bit of a lime wedge because I love to squeeze the lime into it before I eat it. Some sesame seeds on top, and that's it. Super easy.
Gorgeous.
And all the flavors make sense. And they are delicious. And you're using ginger, you're using spinach, which are all very helpful for the metabolism.
Today, I'm actually making a lentil stew, which is a little bit more heartier than the lentil soup. And I have potatoes in it. All these ingredients right here are really good for the metabolism, keeping more to the ingredients that are actually natural or grown and things like that. Things that slow down our metabolism is things like cakes and sodas. Like we have this big rush of sugar, then we have a crash. But whereas this, lots of proteins and lots of vitamins and minerals. So I have this stew going. So I'm going to get started with the lentils. And then I have a couple of other things, but I'll go over that after. So first of all, I'm going to put my onions into the sizzle. Then we have some carrots. Very basic soup base. These are good staples.
How you start a lot of soups. Yep.
Yeah. And you know what? The colors are great. We also have Swiss chard that we're going to put in. A leafy green.
Chard.
Oh, me too. And you know what? I love spinach as well, but spinach gets lost. Whereas Swiss chard,
it keeps it. Yeah, I think so too. I agree.
You know where I like my Swiss chard? I love it in a
marinara sauce. Yeah.
That's
a good idea. Add some green to it. That's wonderful.
That's how you get the kids to eat your leafy greens as well. Like,
there you go. Put them in there. Hide them. Yep.
That's a very good way of getting it down. All right, so I'm going to put my measuring spoons went walking. I think my grandson borrowed them, so I'm just going to guesstimate. So we're going to do half a teaspoon of turmeric, and this is the time we put our spices in because they actually bloom at this time. So I'm going to put some turmeric in now.
They get real fragrant.
Yeah,
smell them really well.
And then we're going to put a bay leaf. I only have a tiny bit of bay leaf, but I didn't realize I was very low on bay leaf. Some salt, not too much salt. We can always add with the salt. Then I'm going to put the lentils. I've washed these lentils earlier.
Those are just brown lentils, right?
Yeah, they're brown lentils. Also, there's actually red lentils. I actually wanted to show you. I wasn't sure which ones I was going to use. I decided to use the brown ones because apparently the red ones, they're more sweeter.
Yeah, I would say that too.
Yeah, I like more savory, and they actually get more creamier. But you can make a creamier lentil if you want to get emulsion blended, the one that you blend on with a potato masher. So I'm going to put them.
You can even smash some against the side, make it a little bit creamier. Yep. So the red ones really, partially I think because they're split, they turn creamy on their own.
And they cook a lot quicker than the brown ones.
Yeah, they do.
It smells really good. I got these small potatoes and I left the skins on. Remember, we said with the skins on, there's a lot more fiber. So again, it's a good step to keep for your metabolism. So I bought the mini potatoes, all different colors. I'm going to just quickly rinse them. I leave them in water so they can go brown when I press. So I'm going to stick them in.
Pretty potatoes.
I know, I love pretty potatoes.
Multicolored.
I know. I'm going to put my broth in. You can use veggie broth, whatever you want, chicken broth, vegetable broth. And we're going to let that go. We can add a little bit more water to it later on if it starts like getting too thick. And then I'm not going to put it in yet. We're going to let it cook up. But as I said, we have some Swiss chard. I got the rainbow chard with like yellow stems. I'm going to put all that in. And also I have a little bit of spinach as well. So I figured, you know what? Let me just throw it in. Like, why not?
Use what you got. Yep.
Exactly. This is a really good soup to keep. You can put it over a whole grain rice. You can put it over a pasta, whatever you decide. Or you can just eat it like this. I'll probably eat like this because it's very hearty. All right. So that's done for the soup. I'm going to let that cook up. I'm going to put it on the lid. And you'll know when it's cooked, when everything, like the potato is soft and the lentils are soft. Right. So number 2. The other thing I made last night, I actually cooked beets. It pairs really well with walnuts and some goat cheese. I would definitely recommend making your own homemade beets. It takes it to a whole nother level. I did mine with fresh rosemary. My fingers are still pink, but I left mine out so you can see that the skin comes off really easy after
You did them in the oven, right, Sam?
Yes, I steamed. Yeah, I can't even tell you how long it takes to cook. If you try and get the same size beets and put them in the oven, and as soon as they're soft, they're done.
Yeah.
All right, but you see
Just
how
keep
easy
an
the
eye
skin
on 'em.
comes off? Yeah, and I covered them as well. But you see how easy the skin comes off?
That's amazing. Yeah. Try and do them while they're raw. It's really hard.
Yep. So it definitely goes well. The next thing I did, the air fry of the week, is Brussels. They come out so crunchy. I'm so happy with them.
I love Brussels sprouts like that.
This is actually my favorite right now. Out of all the air fryer, this is one of my favorites. But let me just quickly show you. I'm making a little list for these Brussels. Honestly, you can eat them like this. I put olive oil, salt, pepper, and that was it. But this recipe comes with the glaze. It's really simple, and it has a little bit of heat for your metabolism. It helps. So we're going to do a spoon of honey. Then we're going to do a spoon of balsamic. And just mix it up. You can put these back in the air fryer with this on just for a couple of minutes, or you can just pour it over. It's completely up to you. And I'm going to just put a sprinkle of red pepper flake because we like a little bit of spice in our life.
Good for the metabolism again.
Good for the metabolism, absolutely. All right. That's going to be my glaze for what will be poured all over. They're cold now, so I want to warm them up first. To get these ready, air fry these. It's 300 to 400 degrees, 12 to 15 minutes. These are really small. Mine actually went a lot quicker than that. But you just cut the heads off. When you place them on the air fryer, don't overstack them because you want them crunchy. Right after we put our olive oil, our salt and pepper, you want to place them down on this with space.
Make sure they're not touching. Yeah,
exactly. So they get steamy. Because my Brussels are so tiny, it's going to take me forever. So I just figured this is when you wish you had big Brussels and big muscles. All right,
there you go.
There is that. Right, so let me show you how everything comes together. So this is your lentil stew.
Beautiful.
Really nice, full of flavor. It was actually really good. These are your Brussels.
They look so nice.
Yes. The snack of the week is like a parfait just with fruit and nuts. The Greek yogurt is very good for the metabolism. Then we have nuts and fruits. The berries are great also. The fruit of the week is pear. My homemade beet salad with goat cheese and walnuts. Good for the brain.
So gorgeous. And such good recipes for a cold day. Perfect timing.
The water of the week, lemon water. Citrus.
Oh, yeah, no. Perfect.
I left it in the fridge ready.
There it is. Gorgeous. That is amazing, Sam. Love that so much. And I want to make that stew really badly.
You would like it. It's very tasty. Also, it's budget friendly as well. If you have a few leftover veggies in the fridge and lentils, they're not expensive. You're getting your proteins, you're getting what you need from your veggies and that. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, totally. Lentils are wonderfully inexpensive. It's a really good thing to have on hand.
And it lasts. You can keep them in the fridge for a couple of days. I think you can even freeze them.
That's great. Yeah, I think I've frozen lentil soup before and it freezes really well. When you do that, start to soups that is onions and carrots and celery. That is called mirepoix. It's a French word. Okay. Yeah, it's the base of so many different soups and it's got a French name.
Unless it's like a Mexican soup or something like that. It's a veggie soup.
Yeah, it all starts that way.
It all starts, but those are the salads for, soups.